Hello, hello, video. And today I have like a special audience that I want to talk to, and it's really reapplicants to medical school. So if you're someone who is in the application cycle right now, or if you're someone who's reapplied to medical school, this video is kind of for you. And I want to start off by saying it is a little bit of more of a sensitive topic. It's a little bit more emotionally charged. I don't mean it to be this way. I don't mean it to bring up any like negative emotions within you, but I think it's just a real message I want to give that people understand, people hear, and maybe instead of feeling so bad, you actually feel a little bit seen, you feel a little bit heard. And that's what I'm trying to get across. I'm also trying to help applicants that are going to reapply to medical school so they avoid some of these things. So I'm going to share a document really quick that I made. Let's just jump over to it. And it's really, let's zoom in here. Let's close that out. And by the way, my name's Alejandro. And so I'm also known as the OG Premed on Instagram. You might know me, you might not know me. I encourage you to go look over there, check out my IG, get on my email list. But I help Premeds get into medical school. And over the last 5 years of doing this, this is what I've definitely seen with reapplicants and people just struggling to get into medical school. And so it's not the tuition, it's the silence. This is what actually kind of breaks reapplicants and breaks pre-med applicants. And this is how they need to rebuild. Okay, so this is what I want to talk about today. So this opening hook right here, it's really, and I wrote this. It's like people think that med school is hard because of the cost, and that's very much true. Absolutely, it is difficult because of the financial toll that it takes on individuals. But really, what truly breaks people is the silence. And what do I mean by that? It's the silence of not hearing back from medical schools when you apply. So think about it this way. You apply to 28 medical schools. Okay, and that's pretty standard right there with applicants. And you really hear nothing. You click submit on your primary application to 20 different schools. Maybe you send it mid to late June. That's a decent time. That's when a lot of applicants will send theirs. Folks that are in my program and Market the Mission and MTM, I encourage them. We get their stuff together. We usually send it week 1. But let's just say we're with the I'm going to be conservative here and talk about the majority of pre-medical students, 28 medical schools. They said mid to late June, and they don't hear anything. They hear nothing. They get some secondaries. That's pretty standard. They submit the secondaries back, and there's crickets. It's radio silence basically from August, September, October, November, maybe even into December, and it's full on panic mode. And you might be in this situation right now watching this video. Right now it's November 19th, 2025. And there are people that reach out to me on Instagram and stuff and says, dude, I have no interviews. I've heard radio silence, nothing. I've even got some rejections from medical school already. When should I think about reapplying? I'm terrified. I'm scared, right? So, and it's worse when you have like friends that are posting about interviews and it's like, you want to be happy for them. But at the same time, you're like, I've done so much in my medical school application. I've done so much, yet I'm hearing nothing. And maybe you're even in the place of, I know what you've done and I've done more than you. And like, I'm not encouraging you to think like that, but we're humans. At the end of the day, we're genuinely humans. And to act like we don't think like that is ludicrous. So I hear you. I understand you. If those thoughts have gone through your head, you want to be happy for them and you are happy for them. But at the same time, you're like, what about me? I've done all this stuff and like, there's nothing here. And then last but not least, you're refreshing your inbox 15 times a day, right? You're sitting there looking at your Gmail and you're refreshing and every single email that pings in, you look at it and it's a school from the Caribbean trying to doing a marketing technique on you or something. And it's deflating, right? It sucks. I get it. I did apply to medical school. I understand this. I work with pre-medical students the last 5 years. I understand this. I hear your pain. Second point here. This is kind of what the silence sounds like in your head, right? I'm going to break it down a little further. So objectively, this is what's going on, objectively speaking. Subjectively, let's break it down here. Subjectively, you're thinking about your GPA and MCAT. You're saying, maybe my 3.56 or my 508 weren't good enough. Well, first of all, that's a great GPA and that's a great MCAT score. First and foremost, that's awesome. I'm proud of you. Right? But these are the thoughts that start running through our head. Even if you have a higher MCAT or GPA, these are the thoughts that we gaslight ourselves with. You start looking at Reddit. You start doing the dreaded Reddit spiral. And you're like, maybe Reddit was right. You're reading all these things on Reddit about people, how they have like the 518, 519 MCAT, the 3.86 GPA, and they're getting interview invites, or maybe they're getting not that many. And you're like, well, how am I supposed to get some if I have lower than they do, if I have lower stats metrics than them, right? Maybe you're saying like, maybe my advisor was right. Most of us have that story where it's like, you go to the pre-med advisor or whatever's, and they're like, you shouldn't think about med school. You should be thinking about something else. You should think about changing your major. It's like, I remember I have one. It's so cliche, but it's like, I feel like we all have one. I remember walking into my advisor and I wanted to change my major. Actually, I was a kinesiology exercise science major. Love exercise science. I'm so happy that I graduated that degree and it all worked out the way it did. But at the time I was going through this like existential crisis, and I was like, no, I need to be a biology major or a chemistry major to get into medical school, right? I didn't have any mentorship. I didn't have anybody speaking life into me. So I went to go change my major, and then they said, no, you can't change your major. In fact, I'm looking at your stuff. You want to go to med school? You shouldn't even think about med school. You should think about something else. In fact, my advisor was like, I don't even think you're that competitive for PT school, bro. That one hurt. He was like, in fact, our biology majors are more competitive than kinesiology majors for PT school. Like, I don't know, this dude had it out for me or something. I felt so bad about myself leaving that office, like so bad about myself. And then finally you kind of like go into this thought process of like, maybe I'm wasting my time. And it's like, dang, it's like, that's like that defeatist mentality of like, yeah, maybe I am wasting my time. It's like, that's real. That's real. Like, these thoughts are real. And I don't want to ignore them. And maybe you're having some of these thoughts right now, right? Maybe they don't overtake you, but maybe you think about them sometimes. Maybe they do overtake you. And I'm sorry to hear that. There is light at this end of this tunnel. I promise. There is light. Third point I want to make is it's really not just strategy, it's identity. Okay. What do I mean by that? Your strategy in terms of strategy to get into medical school, right? You've done all these things. You've done what everyone told you to do, and it's not working out. So now it's an attack on our identity. I'm not worthy. Maybe I should give up. Maybe they were right. Like, it's all this kind of self-talk. And your trust in yourself starts to erode. That's the scary part. Where you start to say, I don't think I can do this. I don't trust myself. I've messed up too much. I've made an academic mess of my life. Let me just say really quick that if anybody can do it, you can do it. I'm living proof of this. I was academically dismissed from college. My GPA was horrible. I had F's and D's and W's and the whole alphabet. I had some stuff on my academic record that did not look good. And I got into medical school. I got into my dream school. I got on a full tuition scholarship. So I am here to tell you that yes, you've made some errors in your past, academic, but they're not fatal errors. If you want to get in, you can get into medical school. I'll just say that right now, okay? And then everyone around you keeps saying, just reapply, just reapply, just reapply. Like, while this is happening, while this sense of trust in yourself is eroding, you're going through this crisis, everyone's saying, no, just reapply, just reapply. But here's the thing, is that no one, yes, you're going to reapply. Yes, you're going to do all that stuff. And I hope you are. I really do. I genuinely hope you are. You are smart enough to get into medical school. You are worthy enough to get into medical school. Medical school needs people like you 100%. You have a unique journey. You have unique circumstances. Like, yeah, even if you don't think you have a unique story, I promise, I guarantee you have a story, a unique story. You do. You just don't know how to talk about it. But while everyone's saying just reapply, you're kind of stuck in this mindset, and no one's talking about the emotional repair you have to go through. Like, no one's talking about the emotional toll this has taken. And that's kind of where you're left in the pieces. And that's the sad part. So now, when you reapply to medical school, it's about identity reconstruction. Yes, there's some strategy involved, but really it's that identity reconstruction. How do you gain that identity back? You know, learning to believe in yourself again, especially when the system didn't, right? Advisors, medical schools, maybe you applied to 30 medical schools and they deemed you, no, we don't want to give you an interview. They didn't trust you, for whatever reason, right? And really, this is the work that no one teaches. The identity reconstruction. That yes, you are capable. Yes, you can do this. Yes, you can discover this sense of confidence, a sense of joy. Because right now you're operating out of fear. You're operating out of fear of like, what if this happens again? What if I go to reapply again and I get the same big fat goose egg? Zero, nothing. What if I get like one interview and I get waitlisted and I don't get accepted in medical school? Now I'm thousands of dollars down the drain. Now my family, who I have to go back to and tell them that I didn't get in again, right? All this like pressure is coming back and all these fears are consuming you. Because at the end of the day, we have a fear of man. When I say man, I mean just all people, right? Like I was talking to one of my pastors the other day, and we were sitting down, and he's my mentor and stuff, and he looked at me, Alejandro. He's hearing a lot of my stuff, and he knows me really well. He's like, Alejandro, he's like, dude, I really do think that you have this fear of man, this fear of people, what they think of me, right? If I don't do this thing, or if I fail to say this thing, or if I'm not acting in a way that I'm supposed to be acting, I'm terrified of their viewpoint of me, of their what they're going to say about me, right? I'm terrified of it. That's the fear of man. I'm doing things, I'm operating out of the influence of what other people are going to, how they view me, right? That's the fear of man right there. Okay. Really, this is what I want you to do. Okay. We got to reframe your mind. Okay. This quote, I like this quote right here. It's med school isn't about stats alone. It's about narrative and resilience. And this is exactly what I teach in Market the Mission, MTM. You may have seen it on Instagram, but this is the program that I run. This is what's helped hundreds of students get into medical schools. Medical schools are their dreams. Medical schools they're paying the student to go to the medical school scholarship, right? It's not, I cannot emphasize this enough. It's not about stats alone. It's about your narrative. It's about how you craft your narrative. It's about how you're relaying the essays that you're writing, how you're sharing your story through interviews, how you're communicating yourself, your story, your unique circumstances, your triumph, your adversity, your resilience. That's what getting into medical school is about. Yes, you got to have some of these standard things, these check boxes. A lot of people say it's not about the checkbox, not about the checkbox. Let me break it to you real quick. It is about check boxes. You do need to have some things to get into medical school. I don't care what anybody else is telling you online on social media. Yes, you do need to have clinical experience. Yes, you need to have a decent GPA. Yes, you need to have a good enough MCAT score. Notice I said good enough. I didn't say 518. I said good enough. One of our current applicants right now, Peyton, he's got a 500 MCAT. And he's got like 14 interviews at this point. Right? So I've worked so many pre-meds that have MCATs around that. And they're getting into medical school. So you don't have to have this crushing, like out of the park MCAT, right? Like I'm not asking you to do that. I'm asking you to get something decent enough for you that you're proud of. Right? I had a 510 MCAT score. I was super proud about that. But I also had a 3.39 GPA. And I had a lot of success. So yes, you need to have decent stats, decent enough. Yes, you need to have clinical experience. Yes, you need to have shadowing hours. You got to have shadowing. Medical schools want to see that you understand the life and trajectory of a physician, what they do on a day-to-day basis. Of course they want to see that. Of course they want you to have direct patient interactions. Of course they want you to have some level, some degree, or some understanding of the scientific method, research. If you don't know, right now, medical schools, the way the curriculum is going is that textbooks are kind of a thing of the past. It's more so now about research. Research is what informs our clinical decision-making. You're going to see when you're on the wards, maybe you have seen when you're shadowing, residents will share research papers. It will dictate the decisions we make for our patients. And so, of course, medical schools want you to understand how the scientific method works. That's why they require it. So it's like, of course, should have some level of research, right? You should have some level of extracurricular activity working with the community. These are all check boxes, but you need to have these things, right? That's one thing. But how you're communicating them is a completely different thing. How you're marketing them is a completely different thing. And that's where most people miss the mark. That's where most people just don't get it because they don't teach you this. They don't teach you how to market yourself. I do. That's what MTM is, Market the Mission. Anyways, I digress. Closing things is Market the Mission is opening on November 29th, 2025. I got 5 spots only. I'm taking only 5 applicants to join the cohort. And I will offer less and less as we approach this new application cycle in June of 2026. So if any of this resonated with you, if you felt any of this at all, reach out. You can message me on Instagram. You can just reply with MTM 2026. and I'll personally reply to you. You can tell me that you saw this video or something like that and how it impacted you. And I'm not trying to sell you anything by any means. If you want to join the cohort, great. If not, all good too. But if you want to DM me and you just want to let me know if this video related to you, if you have any questions at all, if I can offer you maybe just my 2 cents to kind of help guide you in your trajectory and your journey, my DMs are open. I'm not going to ever not help you. And so I encourage you to do that. I encourage you to take the bold step and ask me. Reach out to somebody who's going to encourage you. Reach out to people who have done this, who understand this. Don't reach out to people who are going to cast a pessimistic tone over your journey, over your wishes, over your desires. Like, don't seek those people out. Yes, sometimes we need reality checks. Absolutely. Right? Not all pre-med advisors are bad. If you have a 2.46 GPA and you have a 482 MCAT, yeah, the pre-held advisor that's telling you maybe you should think about something else is maybe they should be. They're right and they're wrong. They're right in the sense that no, your academic track record is not proving sufficient for medical schools, but they're wrong in terms of telling you to do something else. The middle ground right there is saying, hey, you're not ready for medical school right now. Notice I said right now, not ever. You're not ready for medical school right now, but maybe next year you are, when we improve the GPA, we improve the MCAT score, when we improve your personal statement, when we get some more clinical hours so you can pull from those meaningful interactions and you can write about them in a compelling fashion. That's what Market the Mission is all about. So if you enjoyed this video, go give me a follow on Instagram. And I hope to chat with you there. And thank you. Whoops. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day. All right. Take care. Bye.